Welcome back. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems, audiovisual systems, home automation. That's where you can run your whole home basically from your smartphone or tablet. And of course, security and life safety systems. I've used these guys for years. You should too. Call VFL JJ Surlis, who I'm guarantee you is mourning today as well. Call VFL JJ Surlis and see what Safety Systems can do for your home or your office. Let me show you a graphic right here. We've talked about this all day. This is what This is what South Carolina did last week against Florida. They lost 38-6. Against you, they win 63-38. Third downs, completely different. Total yards, they went from 237 to 606. Passing yards, 193 to 453. Rushing yards from 44 to 153. Rushing yards allowed from 374 to 152. There was just nothing to suggest that was coming. And even when you say they make every quarterback look like a Heisman winner, we haven't seen anything like last night. I mean, that was unbelievable. One, Rattler was on, but to let them have 9 touchdowns, we haven't seen 63 points. Tennessee doesn't give up 63 points that often. So was that the most ever in an SEC game, or was a Florida game in '95 and they were 62, I think?
I thought it was the most in an SEC.
Yeah, I think the Florida 62 in the mid-'90s was John Chavis' first year. Here's my question, though. You got people calling for the coaches' heads. All right, so how do you make your changes, Mr. Fan? You want changes. What do you want to see?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to play better. You got to quit trash talking. Your coverage has to be better. That starts up front. You let Shane Rattler get on his spot like a shooter in basketball.
He had no pressure all night.
Had no pressure all night. One time you did hit him. It was negated by a foul, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the defense, it starts with the pass rush. In the games Tennessee's played well, they've been able to affect the other team's quarterback. You didn't do that. You didn't have your inside linebacker. But to me, it's that you can't stop the perimeter game.
You're listing everything.
Well, I mean, that's what you're doing.
You're listing everything.
That's what you were doing.
So last night, everything.
Everything.
All right.
But I think you have got to play better in the secondary, and they probably had more injuries at that position group than any on the team.
We know. Here's what I want to know. We went into this season saying your secondary is your bigger problem. We counted around. Everybody held up a position. That was the last one. And I kept saying my biggest thing was you need a pass rush because your secondary is going to suck. So you need a pass rush to get around it, and you don't have the pass rush either. So I don't know what they can do in the secondary. Well, you've gone through players. You found a Slaughter and Turnage, and then they get hurt last night, and they were sucking anyway. So I don't know what they're supposed to do. Sterling, what are you thinking about the secondary? What are they supposed to do back there?
Secondary, it's amazing.
Recruit.
Well, you got to recruit, but I think the guys we have, because of the injuries, they knocked off their continuity a little bit. And unfortunately, now I'm going back to what I said earlier. One of the blessings that James Banks does when he's in there, he covers like a DB. To get a pass off on that guy, you got to have a Jeremy Banks. To get a pass off on that guy, you've got to have a pinpointed pass. So I think we missed his coverage a little bit yesterday, and I think it was 2 third downs I don't think they would have made had he been in there.
Josh, your thoughts on the secondary?
They do need more speed. They may need more leadership back there when you see Kamal Haddon, who's not been playing, by the way. Yesterday was his return. And
because you had guys getting hurt in front of him.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be a lift. I like Danico Slaughter, what he's able to do, but that's more run stopping, probably right. He made an interception a few weeks ago, but I think he likes to hit more. But absolutely, they need more pressure, more interior pressure too, probably, to help that secondary.
You've got a corner that's committed that Georgia wanted. You've got a corner that's committed that Texas was after, and I think you've got another one that's another hot prospect. Do you not? Don't you have 3?
Yeah, Conyer, they're really excited about what they have secondary now. How many guys can step in and play right away in the SEC is a big question.
But I think that's a better fix than these guys.
I'm sure they'll look to the transfer portal.
That's the big thing. There's a whole other aspect of recruiting that involves recruiting the transfer portal, which we've seen benefit this program. But I think at this point in time in the season, what do you do in the secondary?
Yeah.
As a coach, what you do is you look at your personnel, who's available, you identify who does what best, and then you try to make things as simple as you can for them to play fast and to gain confidence. Long term, you say our offense operated at the most optimum efficiency that it probably can, and what our weakness was, or what ended up getting us, was pass rush and secondary. So you do the best you can to formulate a plan to get guys that can rush the passer, guys that can cover, and retool.
And maybe tackle now and then.
And tackle, but that's hard. Kids don't tackle in high school anymore other than the games.
And you got a 20-hour rule, so you don't get all – I mean, there's not a lot of time in practice to tackle all the way to the ground. They don't do that much. Then you got high school and all the way down to middle school. They're not tackling like they used to.
And I don't think they should. I want to protect the players, but it's hard to find kids that tackle well now.
Very quickly now, after a loss like that, social media, the calls, it's all, well, our DBs never get their heads around. Well, our DBs are always looking at the quarterback, not the receivers. Well, our DBs are doing this. As a former NFL defensive back, safety, as a former safeties coach and defensive coordinator, when you look at Tennessee's defensive backs, do you say, whew, there is serious problems here that need to be coached?
I look at it and I say it's a group of guys that there's a scheme has got them in trouble a little bit. They play a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 1. So teams go into their game plans and say we're going to attack these coverages,
holes,
these holes, these areas, these matchups. I think that creates issues. But what I see as much as anything else is the tackling in space, which I see that across the board in college football, but tackling in space and then understanding how to compete for the 50-50 balls. What you want to do is like what the kid from Georgia did a couple weeks back, where he puts himself in position, he plays the ball exactly like you want on your clinic tape, goes up and picks Hendon Hooker. And now it's like, well, maybe we don't need to take those throws anymore. You can eliminate that if you start making some plays on those throws.
All right, very good. We got 3 more segments in about 26 minutes to do it. Can we? That's the challenge. Next, where's Tennessee going bowling? What's the bowl outlook at this point if they beat Vanderbilt? Come on back.
Away from home? Watch the Sports Source live at WATE.com.